Hi, my name is Jennifer Garrison, and I am doing my podcast on structured learning in an autism classroom. I have been in special ed for 21 years, and for the last 4, I have worked in a low incidence, medically fragile unit in a high school. And I have, in the last couple years, really gotten into structured learning and teaching in my classroom. I found that doing that has allowed my students to learn some predictability, structure, obviously, and I'm going to go into a little bit about all of those things. The reason that a structured learning environment works so well for students with autism is there's the predictability, there's the organization and consistency that helps those students feel safe. One thing that autistic kids have trouble with are transitions. If they have a predictable routine, they know exactly what they're doing next. It tends to work out much better. It reduces anxiety. I've even garner some independence in some of them where they don't need to be told what to do next. They know that they go on to the next thing. Learning those executive functioning challenges that students have, sensory sensitivity, some of them need, low light, they need noise canceling headphones, or some of them even need music on. They have difficulty with transitions, so if you have some music that you could put on, those also work. It helps them to foster independence because, like I said, if they know what's coming next, then they can independently start going to those different activities without you saying, okay, what do we need to do next? As far as the physical environment for my classroom in particular, there's a space for everything, and everything has its place. There are very clear work zones, an independent work area, a group work area, a sensory calming corner. I do have fidgets and stuff over there. They have different areas for file folders and independent learning things like we do a lot of task boxes and stuff independently. I use color coding for all of my kids. Each student has their own color. So their cubby has their color, their caddy with their work stuff like scissors, glue, color pencils, crayons, that sort of thing, are all that color. There's a picture of themselves on their desk. There has their name also written in their color. We use bins that they are the right color, has their face on them, then that's where they put their iPads. Their iPad has a picture of them on the front of it, so they know that that's theirs. They each have personal space, so that they could have, like, I have one student who always wears noise canceling headphones. I have one student who always has a fidget. We use painter's tape around each of our areas so that they know where they need to stand. That's what I use the most to show the clear work zones. Like I said, with the minimal sensory distractions, I have very low lighting. There is very little clutter in my room, nothing on the walls or anything like that. It kind of looks a little bit, I guess, clinical, but it works because those students know exactly where they are supposed to be and what they need to be doing. They each have a visual schedule. It's a big, long piece of paper, also in their color with a Velcro strip. It has pictures, and when they get done with the picture, they move it off so that they know what's next. We go over it on the start of each day. Wednesdays are different, so we do a different thing. That's something I always front load them with the day before. Like, hey, tomorrow's different. We're not going to do the same thing, because then we have a break before we go to their special, and that always really can upset them. We have a visual timer. We do a countdown, a visual prompt to transition. And I have 2 to 3 consistent paraprofessionals in my room, and then I have another couple who float in and out. And the ones that float in and out also know all of our schedules, and they have those picture supports for them so that they can also help with the students. So that way we all have the same routine. We do task organization. Everything has step-by-step directions. We do a work system, especially for one that had this visually impaired. He has 3 drawers, and it's to do, doing, and done. When he's done, he puts, he gets the stuff out of his stuff to do once he's doing it, and then he puts it in the other box when he's done. Then he knows he has a break. We modify assignments a lot. Sometimes there are days where we get through one thing. Sometimes there are days where we get through 3 or 4. It just depends, on how we're doing. Variety and learning. Try to incorporate their interests. I have one who's super into the Great Wolf Lodge right now, and I try to make a lot of his stuff about the Great Wolf Lodge, which is an indoor water park. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. One of my other ones really likes WWE wrestling, so we incorporate stuff for him. Or the movie Trolls. I could name a million of these things that these kids are into, and that's what I try to cater to them that way, so that it gets them engaged. Academic supports. We use a lot of AAC devices. I have 1, 2, 3. Basically, everybody in my class has an AAC device. It might be like a PEX board, or I have one with an eye gaze. Actually, I have 2 with an eye gaze. And then I have 3 that have iPads with the lamp system, and 1 with a different system that's kind of similar to that. We do graphic organizers. We do checklists to learn task analysis for what each of the kids can do, what they need to work on. I don't really do a lot of behavior support because my kids, for the most part, are pretty good. In the past, I have had to, where we've had to do like a token system for students to earn things. Like you do 3 of these things, 3 tasks, and you get a reward of an iPad for 5 minutes or something like that, We do a lot of social stories, especially for bathroom time, because we share a bathroom with the classroom next door. We're working a lot on knocking on the door and stuff like that. So we do a lot of social stories, especially involving fire drills, field trips, if we're going to have somebody new come in. I try to get them to interact with their peers, but they kind of just parallel play a lot of the times. So that's something that I like to do eventually, depending on the students that I have. Parental and family communication is huge. I share visuals with my families. I make it first, then charts for them. I make icons for them. I have one student who's she's a super senior, and she goes home at 11 in the morning, but she has to come back with her mom to pick her brother up in the afternoon. And she was really struggling with this at the beginning of the year. And so we made a first, then chart and some icons like, first you do this, then you do this, then you do this, then you come get your brother. And it seems to have been, a good support for mom. And always, you have the ability to take data that way. Because there's a lot of things that will, count towards your IEP goals that you're not really thinking of as they're following directions if they're on tasks. And I think the most important thing to remember is that this huge structure isn't limiting to these kids. It makes them be more confident and independent because they know what's next. They know that they can go make these choices and do these things. And I think structured learning is something that everybody should do when it comes to students with autistic tendencies, if you have a student with autism in your classroom. Thank you.